Good morning. You're listening to Central Wisconsin's 24-hour information station, AM 1320 WFHR. It's time now for the Morning Magazine, brought to you by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing. Now, with the Morning Magazine, here's Carl Hilke.
Thanks, Jerry, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's show on AM 1320 and streaming live at WFHR.com. We also welcome our friends from RCCA Media who are digitally recording us in high definition for broadcast on their wonderful website, rccamedia.org, and also on your local cable channel. And check for your local listings, as they always say. And the reason why they are here is this is our time of the month when we get a Wood County report. Normally, Wood County Board Chairman Lance Pliml is here, but he's at the National Counties Conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, representing Wood County and Wisconsin, I would assume, in his role as the state director. So we he arranged a very appropriate guest for us this morning, Chad Schooley, the director of Wood County Parks and Forestry Department. And with the summer season kicking off, it's a great time to talk with Chad. And first off, thank you on short notice for coming and welcome.
All right. Well, no problem. It's good to be here.
Okay. Well, this is the kickoff of the summer season in Wood County's parks, and you have some beautiful campgrounds across the county. I would imagine they're pretty well booked for the upcoming weekend.
Yes, we officially we open May 1st, but it's obviously pretty slow this first month of May. Memorial is kind of our big kickoff, and I believe each one of our three campgrounds is full as far as reservations. We do have a few sites that are first come, first serve, but for the most part, we will be full house for the weekend here.
What are your most popular sites? Obviously, anything by water, I would assume.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, at all three of our campgrounds, the ones that are closest to the water are booked the most throughout the summer months.
That'd be Lake Wazeecha,
Dexterville, and Northwood County Park.
Okay. So, you heard the forecast, and we're talking about possibility of, thunderstorms, severe weather. I mean, thunderstorms in themselves are a danger to campers, especially those in tents and the like. And you hear tragic stories across Wisconsin every summer about a camper getting hit by lightning. What kind of, for our listeners, what kind of precautions do you take, or talk about the infrastructure you have in place to let campers know there are storms coming and what they should do?
Sure. As you mentioned, in my position, storms, it's a natural thing out in our campgrounds, but it's also one of the scariest things for us. Some things we can try to eliminate the risk from, but some things you just can't. It's kind of a act of God, obviously. But what we do when we do have a warning in place, whether it's a tornado warning, thunderstorm warning, what have you, what we try to do is have our rangers, which our rangers are typically on staff right on site. And what they will do is they'll actually go around and communicate with our campers, whether it's with their PA in their vehicle or if it's during daylight hours, they just go around and whoever's out of their camper or their tent, they would verbally just communicate with them. Fortunately, most people nowadays have cell phones or radios or things like that where they can obviously get the word that there is a storm coming. A lot of those smartphones nowadays, they have the radar and everything, so you can kind of track that. But what we try and do is we try to notify them, and then obviously the best thing, if you're in a tent, that's not a real good spot to be. We recommend going to one of our hardened buildings, our restrooms, our shower buildings. If there's an open shelter in the area, that's what we would recommend getting to. So. Okay. So that's some advice. So if you are headed to one of the Wood County's beautiful campgrounds this weekend, just be aware of your weather situation and act accordingly. And also, it's going to be the time when the county beaches are opening up. That's
How many
correct.
beaches do we have in Wood County?
Well, Southwood County Park has two, the Red Sands and the White Sands Beach. We have one at Nepco, Dexterville, and Northwood County Park. So.
Okay. And, of course, with beaches, you're always concerned about water quality and the like. And
Correct.
there's been reports about increasing incidents of water quality questions where beaches have to be closed. How often do you check for that?
We actually have the Wood County Health Department. They are responsible for doing our beach quality checks, the water quality. And on average, they typically get out, depending on the time of the summer. Sometimes they're a little bit higher, expected higher bacteria rates, so they'll get out a little bit more frequently. But typically, they'll be from one time per week up to every 2 weeks on average. And if they will test that water quality.
And if need be, they'll put out the announcement that will tell everybody, hey, the beaches are closed because of water quality issues.
That's correct. We have different tiers. We have an advisory tier depending on the level of bacteria in the water. And then there's also beach closure if it gets too high. And obviously we get the word out. The health department gets the word out. We also put signs up at our beaches at that point as well.
Okay. Now, for folks who may not know, you have a firewood restrictions for the campers, so let's make sure they understand that.
That is true. Yeah, this is our first year that my oversight committee as well as the county board approved a resolution, approved an ordinance restricting all firewood carry-ins into our campgrounds. Obviously, the reason being for that is to try and eliminate and or slow the spread of a lot of these diseases that are coming in that could potentially be transported via firewood. So we took the stance that it's better to be safe than sorry. So anyone who wants to have a campfire in our campgrounds would have to purchase from us inside the campground itself. Okay,
so be aware of that, folks. Don't think you can bring in firewood.
Right. Yeah. The only allowable firewood would be dimensional lumber. So basically 2x4 cutoffs, 2x6s, something that is clean, untreated. We don't want any nails, hardwoods. We don't like pallets, obviously, with all the nails in there. But if it's a clean dimensional lumber, they can bring that in.
Okay. If you're just joining us on the Morning Magazine, welcome. We're getting our Wood County update. Lance Pliml is out of state representing us at the National Counties Conference in Wyoming. Chad Schooley, the director of the Wood County Parks and Forestry Department, is here. And let's talk about all the stuff that's still. You got a lot of projects going on across Wood County. I mean, just because the camping season has started doesn't mean the work ends. So let's talk about some of the things that are happening at Wood County Parks.
No, I'd be happy to talk about it. First, I want to just talk about a few large events coming up.
Okay.
Within our parks, and both of these events are occurring at Lake Wazeecha. Obviously. The State Water Ski Show is coming up in July.
Yeah, but then the biggie.
Yes, and then the biggie. But the State Water Ski Show this year is going to be July 21st to the 24th.
Okay.
It's going to be the 50th annual.
Okay, so that's
very big deal for, obviously, the aqua skiers. They're the organization that puts this on every year. So it's a very, very big event for them. And then, as you referred to, the big one that we're very excited about is the 2016 World Water Ski Show Tournament. And that, too, is going to be held at Lake Wazeecha, Red Sands Beach. And that's going to be from September 9th to the 11th this year.
Yeah, and I forgot how many different countries are represented, but we're going to have a lot of international visitors. And I'm glad you brought this up because I was talking to somebody, and they were going, how are they going to handle all the traffic and everything else? The State Water Ski Show is one thing. Now you got the world thing. So what's the game plan? Or I'm sure there's still planning going in place, but what's the game plan for handling the crowds you're going to get?
Right. And that's true. There is ongoing meetings about this. The aqua skiers, Wood County, obviously, police, rescue, fire, they're all on the same page up to now, but I know there is continuous conversation as far as handling that. We on the county end, obviously, we're more of the facility of the event itself. I in the Parks Department, we're not real involved as far as the traffic, and that would be more on the sheriff, Grand Rapids PD, and things like that. So,
what about parking?
Yeah, parking is going to be similar, basically the same as far as I know as the State Water Ski Show.
Okay.
So along the road, that frontage road, there will be allowable parking there. And then we also open up a gate for that grassy area in that basically east of the beach area right there.
Okay, and I guess people just got to be willing to walk and be patient and put on your walking shoes.
And actually, as the show goes, the number of teams, it's a lot smaller in scale than the state water ski show. However, spectators, that's where the as you talked about the parking and the traffic, that's where I see us potentially having a lot larger crowd for spectating.
Yeah, because you're going to have international visitors coming and cheering on their home country.
The countries that will be involved, and I don't know if this is a complete final list, but we do have Australia, Belgium, Canada, China, and the USA. So
cool.
Pretty neat.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're very, very proud as a department and as a county to, have a facility like that. It's really, really great.
And you've gotten a lot of help. There's been a leadership class of the chamber that's taken on some issues with to help out to make the park more friendly for those with disabilities of some kind or the other. And you've really made that as user-friendly a facility as possible.
Yeah.
It's kind of a natural amphitheater there.
It is. It's a great, the way the lake is laid out as well as Red Sands Beach, just the natural formation of that. We have done a lot of improvements the past 5 years and really trying to attract not only these ski shows, but also large events for the community. So we try to keep that in mind whenever we do a construction project. We can get the best bang for the buck. So.
And you got construction projects. This is what we call a segue. You have construction projects that are underway or are going to be happening this summer.
Yeah, I wanted to touch base a little bit on a project that we've been planning for a long time, since the early 2000s.
Really?
And this is basically following through with a long-range master plan that was done, and it is for the Powers Bluff County Park. Many of you are familiar with the park for the winter months, for the snow tubing, skiing.
Right.
Or the springtime. We're kind of past that peak time now, but the spring flowers up there it's just amazing.
I've heard that.
And, violets and different wildflowers. It's really pretty up there this time of year. But getting back to the project, give you a little bit of history.
Sure. Go ahead.
Back in 2005, like I had mentioned, there was a long-range master plan that was done, and it involved several interested parties of that park, as well as the public. They're involved in this long-range master plan as well. And out of that, basically the number one recommendation for that plan was in order to preserve, protect, and enhance the existing park as far as the environmental, cultural, and recreation aspects of it, the number one recommendation was to acquire property to the north of that hill. And in 2012, the county actually did a land trade, Wood County Forest property for this property, 223 acres north of the park. And that was completed, and that was basically following through and continuing with this long-range comprehensive plan. And the reason for that was really to separate the uses, really to get the recreation on that north slope and northern property, and get it more away from the state natural area, the state cultural area up there.
Okay.
So we were very excited when that happened. It was a big hurdle for us as far as getting that long-range master plan completed. At the time, it was actually an old farmstead, and a lot of the buildings, including the house, they were really in disrepair. So shortly after acquiring that property, we actually demolished and took down, leveled the site. So right now, off of Highway N in Arpin, there's a small parking lot, and that's where the old homestead is. There's also, just to give you an idea of the property, about 80 acres is farm field, and we actually lease that property out. The remainder of it is either wooded, there's a drainage area in that property, and some wetlands and different natural habitats. The plan is, and I'll kind of go over some of the features that we have on paper thus far.
Okay.
As what we want to do up there.
Sure.
We're looking at putting in several miles of trail. That's one of the highlights up there. 7 miles of single-track trail, and single-track trail is basically for biking or cross-country, snowshoeing in the winter months. We're also looking at approximately 5 miles of cross-country skiing, which would be for skiing in the winter months and hiking in the summer and other times of the year. An ice skating area. Sledding hill. Right now, obviously, we have the tubing hill, but there's a lot of terrain in this property where we're looking at basically grooming smaller hills for the smaller tykes that don't really want to go down on the tube hill.
Oh, that'd be great for them.
Yeah, so they can basically just bring out a sled and utilize it that way.
Like we did when we were kids.
That's right. So in addition to that, obviously the snow tubing skiing, that would still be in existence. But really what we're looking at doing is coming off of Highway N, bringing an entrance road to the base of the hill, and constructing a multi-use shelter building. And that's going to be kind of the hub for this whole recreation area. Part of the reason for that is up on top of the hill right now, there's very limited parking for our winter operations. The overflow parking is basically on the slope of the hill, a grassy area, which becomes very troublesome
Yeah.
as the snow melts and things like that. And even access up to that hill in the winter months is very troublesome as far as the slope of the roadway coming up as well as going down. If you're a skier or you're familiar with other resorts, ski areas, things like that, typically those areas are at the base of the hill where you don't have that issue trying to climb it with a vehicle and
Right.
go down. And that's really our mindset of doing that, is constructing something at the base of the hill. With that, we did have designs, renderings drawn up of this multi-use shelter building, and we're very excited about that. My oversight committee has given me the green light at this point to go out and basically explain the project. We're looking at a public-private funded project up to this point. Just to give you an idea, it's a pretty large investment.
I would imagine.
Yeah, so this multi-use shelter building, basically it's got 3 sections to it. One area is going to be a larger events hall, and that would be kind of the warming house in the winter months when we're open, obviously. But it would also be reservable for larger events similar to our other parks, weddings, class reunions, business meetings, things like that.
Okay.
As well as with our trail system, different races and things like that we could host. The other part of the building is a smaller area, and that's going to be set up more like a smaller gathering meeting room / classroom. And we really want to get more school groups out there as far as environmental education, just outdoor recreation and things like that. So that's really the design on that wing, basically.
Okay.
And the center section is going to be an open shelter, and that's going to be open and available if the other areas are not reserved. People can come in, enjoy that, picnic there. It would basically be utilized and available for anyone that would come to the park at that time. Very excited about it.
I would be too. This sounds like this will be a beautiful facility,
Yes.
and it will be well used, I guarantee you. Okay, how much is this going to take to do this, and what kind of a timeline are we looking at?
Sure. So the estimate for the building itself, and it's about a 12,000 square foot building, so it is a quite large building. The estimate for the building, the site plan, everything that would go into that building is about $3 million. In addition to that, the overall plan with the trails, the ice skating area, we also have included snowmaking where we can have a longer season. This past season we were only open 6 weekends, so in order to utilize that to the maximum, we're looking at purchasing and putting in snowmaking equipment. That is an additional approximately $1.2 million. So, like I said, it is a very large endeavor, and we're looking at rolling this out to the general public in the near future, as far as real site plans, drawings, renderings, and specifics like that. So,
And then from there, comes the hard work
That's
to
correct.
raise the money.
That's correct.
Before you can get a shovel in the ground.
That's right. And I've actually been meeting, like I said, my committee has given me the okay and green light to basically solicit for donations for this project. I have been meeting with some different foundations, both Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids, because of the location of Powers Bluff. It's kind of neat that it lends to being attractive to both areas like that. And so I'm just starting to get my feet wet as far as discussions with different entities and potential donors and things like that.
What's been the initial reaction?
Initial reaction has been very positive. Basically, what I have gotten feedback-wise so far is just getting more details as far as operating costs, expected revenues, and I do have estimates on that, but I'm trying to fine-tune some of those numbers. And really, how we're going to tackle this huge fundraising event.
Well, like you said, you got 2 metro areas to work with, and groups within those population centers. So I would imagine at some point, let's get everybody at the table and brainstorm.
Right. Exactly. And I'm hoping that, like I said, when this long-range plan was developed, there were several interested groups, individuals, and obviously I'm hoping that rekindles and those individuals step forward and really help make this happen. So
it sounds very exciting. Before I let you go, anything else? We got about a minute.
All right. I did want to mention one thing, and it's kind of something that occurs annually, year-round, but just a reminder that our all Wood County parks, if you bring a dog, that's great. However, we do have an ordinance out there, and I just want to remind everybody, we do not currently have a dog off-leash area at our parks. So all dogs that are in our parks do need to be on leashes, and obviously you have to clean up after your pet.
That's it. Be a responsible pet parent. Bring Fido. He's part of the family. Keep him on a leash and clean up after him. Okay, Chad, great update. And congratulations to you and everybody at the Wood County Parks and Forestry Department for the great job you do, because that is a real gem for our county, our county parks and forests. And let's hope for a happy and safe Memorial Day holiday weekend to kick off the summer season. And you guys keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
And that's Chad Schooley, the director of Wood County Parks and Forestry, here on the Morning Magazine. And that's going to wrap up part 1 of today's show on AM 1320 and WFHR, as well as RCCA Media. The Morning Magazine, as always, is brought to you by Comfort Air.